Lamine Yamal was speaking to Mundo Deportivo and he also referenced Ansu Fati, which did spark my interest to speak about whether Ansu Fati is finished or not. And so let's first talk about the statements that Lamine Yamal had earlier today. And this is what he said, and I quote, "It is not logical to go for both the Olympics and the Euros, as it is about not being burdened and playing too much, so it wouldn't make sense. But obviously, in the end, you're playing for the Spanish national team. It's a dream. I think it's more important to be in the Euros." Then he continues, "I hope to be a Barcelona legend. Wearing the number 10 shirt is currently Ansu's, but if he's not here, in the end, I'd be proud to wear it. It is a dream for any child to be Barcelona's number 10. No one can say no, but it is something that the club will decide." So let's first talk about the first statement. I am happy to see that Lamine Yamal is aware of the risk that does come with being overused. It's so crazy to me that Lamine Yamal has called out the Spanish Federation, as he should, because no player should be going on to play 35 to 40 games for their club and then go into the summer and play the Euros and then play the Olympics, two different tournaments, and then go into the preseason again with their club. No young player should go through that. Lamine Yamal did a great job speaking to the media in this way so the Spanish Federation can know what they are doing wrong. Because let me tell you, when you are being overused, there is a very high chance that you might encounter a serious injury. It could be a hamstring problem, a quad problem, or a knee problem. And sometimes when you're not even overused, maybe you plant your foot a different way and you twist your knee or you sprain your ankle. And why even further the chances of encountering a serious injury by playing a lot of games? To me, Lamine Yamal should not play the Olympics at all. I think that in the Euros, he should play 35 to 45 minutes. Yes, I know that Lamine Yamal is amazing. I know that he does play well with the Spanish national team. It sounds crazy for me to say that De La Fuente should not use Yamal for more than 45 minutes, but I am a Barcelona fan, okay, and Barcelona have the right to keep Yamal healthy, not the Spanish national team, but Barcelona. The reason why Yamal is Lamine Yamal, the player that everybody knows about, is because of Barcelona. And so when you raise a certain player to a certain status, you do have the right to say how to use that player. And for me, if I was Joan Laporta, I would tell De La Fuente and the Spanish Federation, do not use Lamine Yamal for no more than 35 to 45 minutes. That's it. And then after Yamal finishes his tournament with Spain in the Euros, he bounces, like leave. He should go back to Barcelona and rest, and not even play football for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then wait for the preseason and take it easy from there. Because Pedri is the ultimate example. He's the ultimate example of playing all of these tournaments, going back to your club and then getting injured, and then you can't stop getting injured. He's the ultimate example. Gavi is not an example of this. He's more of an example of, like him playing unnecessary games, and that's it. Ansu Fati is an example of being at the wrong place, wrong time, and wrong footing. Yamal can fall in either of these categories. Any one of these things could happen. So now let's move on towards the second statement. It's already crazy for me to hear that Lamine Yamal has been given the pressure to say that would you accept the number 10 shirt? Because when you are the number 10, you are going to be considered as the face of FC Barcelona. And in my opinion, I don't think that Yamal should even think about nor be given the number 10 shirt. I would wait for Yamal to turn 20 years old. Like wait another 3 to 4 years minimum, and then have conversations on whether he should be given the number 10. Because the last time we gave somebody the number 10, a year later, that exact same player is at Brighton and he's not even starting for the team. There was a game where he was not even called up. He has been that bad. And yes, I'm talking about Ansu Fati. We'll talk about him in just a few seconds. And I'm just gonna assume that like when you're young and you're given the number 10 shirt, you tend to overthink a lot of the things that you do on the pitch. You run everywhere because you're just so like nervous. You're like, oh my God, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And because your body's so nervous, you just end up getting injured. And when you get injured, you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, am I a failure? Is everything going to go wrong from here? Am I ever going to make it back into where I used to be? What if I don't come back and perform at a great level like I used to be at? Is my club going to want me back? Like you're just going to be starting to think about those type of negative things, and that is where you do start the low level mentality. And it becomes the reason why when you go back onto the pitch, you do not perform the same. You're scared. You don't want to play and give out your maximum. Everything that I have been saying so far should be advice for Lamine Yamal. And again, I'm so happy that he has called out the Spanish Federation. And everything that I have also been explaining in this video is also about Ansu Fati. I'm literally talking about what has happened to Ansu Fati over the past 2 years. And that is what's going to take me to the next conversation and speak about whether Ansu Fati is finished or not. Because Zerbi, who is the coach of Brighton, wanted to speak about Ansu Fati 2 days ago, and this is what he said. Expectations with him are always very high. He has to give something more because what he is doing currently is not enough. We are helping him. He is a sensitive guy, a good guy. And when you work with people like that, you are happy if you can help them. Then he continues, the first part of his career has been hard to accept and understand, but for great players players, the most important thing is to adapt to the expectations that you have. So this is a statement, right, that came right after Ansu Fati was an unused sub against Liverpool. And then after this statement was put out by Zerbi, about a couple of days later, Brighton played against Brentford. And in that game, that is where Ansu Fati was not even called up to the squad. So this whole thing is serious. Like, Zerbi really does not see Ansu Fati at the level that he should be at for Brighton. Like, he does not see him as Premier League material. How are you not going to get called up to the squad? Like, really, how? Like, he was literally at the house looking at the game between Brighton and Brentford. That's sad. Keep in mind that Brighton have only scored 4 times in the past 8 games. Ever since that match against Sheffield United where they won 5-0, they have only scored 4 times. 4. You would assume that Zerbi would have called up Ansu Fati to maybe fix these problems because they have a goal scoring problem, but he does not see Ansu Fati as a solution. It's just crazy to me. And looking back over the past 8 to 9 months, in his first few matches at Brighton, he scored 4 times out of like 14 games. And then he went through the hamstring injury back in November. Then he had to be out for like about 10 weeks. After he came back from the hamstring injury, which was in February, he has never been the same. And he has only made 3 Premier League starts. And that's basically it. Like, he only plays about 30 minutes every 3 to 4 matches. And he comes in on the 60th minute. That has been like the whole agenda for Zerbi and Ansu. And I think that there is a big consistency going on here because every time he does get injured, usually when he does come back, he's in very poor form. And that is why Zerbi is like, we need to try to get the best out of you because clearly every time you come back, you just don't even want to play. Zerbi continues to say, and I quote, "Our responsibility is to help him improve his performances, to improve his physical condition, to improve his mentality, because to play in the Premier League, you have to be stronger mentally and stronger physically. And then we are ready to play with him in the first 11. When he shows us the right condition, I would be very, very happy." So Zerbi is also stating that he knows what Ansu Fati is capable of because he has seen Ansu Fati play in his earlier years. You and me have seen what Ansu has done for Barcelona in his first 2 or 3 years. He was exceptional. He was amazing. He was considered to be the next generational player. You and me had conversations like that. As a matter of fact, I do think that was probably like the first video that I made in this channel. It was about Ansu Fati, and I'm like, this guy's gonna have a 90 million euro release clause or something like that. It was crazy. The hype was real. So you can tell that there is that urge between Zerbi and Ansu to really make things click, and that is why Sport came out with a report stating that there is a possibility that Ansu Fati will stay at Brighton for another loan season, and that is because Zerbi still thinks that he needs more time. He needs more time to gel, and they want to work together again for another season and really make it successful, because this season so far it has been a complete failure. There was this journalist that was talking about Ansu Fati and why he has failed in England so far, which is very true, and this is what he said. "I think that Ansu Fati made a bad choice by going to England. With his physical condition, you have to be a Messi, technically, to be able to make it up for it." And that is the perfect reason, right? That is the perfect example. And it also explains why Ansu Fati is failing, is because Ansu Fati, the way that he is built, he was made for the explosive runs. When you take those explosive runs out of him, you're left with nothing. The only way you can combat on the field and be effective, even without the physical condition, is when you're technically gifted. Ansu Fati is not one of those players. And that is the reason why Messi was able to readjust himself so many times in his career. Even though he was like one of the slowest players there, he always had the technical side of him by making amazing passes, scoring the free kicks, positioning himself in certain areas to score the goals. That is what took Messi very far in his career. But again, Ansu Fati does not have that. He's not technically gifted. I remember back when he was 16 or 17 years old, one of the things that we really did like about Ansu Fati was every time he received the ball from the left flank, he relied on a quick shift in gear from his legs to go into spaces with the ball and to shoot the ball into the bottom left or bottom right corner. Or sometimes he made a quick shot that required a lot of hip mobility, aka the goal against Inter Milan, and he was successful. But he cannot do that anymore. Like, if you look at the games today, he just looks so out of it. He looks afraid, he looks timid, there's fear in his body, he barely moves his body, he's afraid to do everything. And that is what Zerbi is talking about. And eventually, if you keep performing like this, right, so afraid, so timid, so much fear, no club's gonna end up wanting you, and eventually you're just gonna end up in a low-level league. Like, time goes by fast. He's 21 years old. He made his debut at Barcelona 5 years ago. It happened just like that. And so before you know it, he will be 26, 27, 28 years old, and he's gonna be asking, wait a minute, why am I over here 26, 27, 28 years old playing at San Jose Earthquakes? Alex Pintanel also claimed that Ansu Fati's intention is to return back to Barcelona once the season's done, but the club cannot guarantee his arrival for this summer, which is the reason why there's a possibility that he might continue for another season on loan at Brighton. And that question that does arrive from Barcelona on not wanting Ansu Fati, right, whether they should keep him or not, is so sad and also so frustrating, because you became the number 10 for Barcelona. You were being compared to Messi. And there was a point, right, there was this picture where Messi was hugging Ansu Fati in the tunnel, and it was like a symbol of Messi passing on the torch to Ansu Fati, and now he's over here not even wanted at Brighton. So assuming that everything goes well, let's just assume that we're dreaming, we're like in a fantasy land, and we're just projecting the best case scenario for Ansu Fati and his future with Barcelona. I would have loved for Ansu Fati to stay for another season at Brighton, come back in 2025, and then boom, our front three is Ansu Fati on the left, Vitor Roque striker, Lamine Yamal on the right wing. Young, fierce, and powerful. Or Ansu Fati picks up his form in the last 2 months, he comes into the summer, Barcelona wants him, and then boom, our front three for next season is Ansu Fati, Lewandowski, and Lamine Yamal. Powerful, a lot of goals, and a lot of pace. In the end though, we have to set into reality. We don't know how the future is going to be. I think that this is a much worse story than Pedri's, and I just want Lamine Yamal to stay away from all of this. I don't want him to do any of these things that Pedri and Ansu went through in the past 3 to 4 years. Yamal has goals in him and he has talent, dude. Like, he has Ansu Fati's goals and the talent of Pedri and Frankie combined. This guy, Yamal, can tear down 2 to 3 men in one move on the pitch, and that is what makes him so exciting. His football IQ is just elite. But that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.